What's up, everybody? Zach here. One of your two favorite pairs of balls in the podcasting game. Since corporate America is still sleeping on your boys, and we don't have any advertisements to promote right now, in lieu of that, we're accepting Venmo donations of $2 for whatever you'd like us to say on the podcast. As long as it's not anything hateful, mean, cruel, anything that'll get us canceled, anything extremely negative, we'll go ahead and say it. If it's a joke, if it's something loving, if it's just something fun, if it's you talking about Paul Pierce sharding, for example, we're all about it. Just go ahead and Venmo Sean-Janos $2, and he'll say whatever, and then go ahead and Venmo Zach-Lane-15 $2, and I'll read whatever you want. Thanks a lot, everybody. Now back to the podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the third episode of the Balls Out podcast. We're here. We're back. We're here late at night. It's 10 o'clock on a Wednesday. We're wrapping up watching the Knicks-Hawks game. Sadly, it looks like it's going to be the last game this series. Joining me is the biggest Knicks fan I know and probably the most depressed man on the planet this very second, Zach Lane. Zach, how are you doing?
Hurting a lot right now, Sean. Hurting a lot. Julius Randle just hit a three with about 2 minutes left to give me a little bit of hope, which was probably the worst fucking thing you could do in the world to me right now. And we're down 13 with 1:40 left. It looks like the Knicks are going to be done for the season.
Yeah, a little too late there, Julius. I mean, that would have been nice a few games ago, but here I am down $20.
And I'm down 25. And, I mean, we're bitching about the money that we're down, but Julius Randle's going to be down a lot fucking more money in this offseason than probably the max contract he was lined up for before the playoffs started.
Someone will give him a max, I think. There's recency bias is getting the best of us right now, but come free agency, he'll get his bag.
I don't know, but do you think so? Like, when you get solved in the playoffs like that, is a team really going to want... I mean, maybe a shit team would still throw him max contract, like, a.k.a. the Orlando Magic or the Houston Rockets or
the Kings.
Some team of that sort, or the Kings. Yeah, there's a lot of bad teams that could just, like, toss him the max.
Or the Knicks.
Hey, man, 4 seed this year.
Yeah, man, so they just throw him the max. They say, run it back. We got all this other cap space to figure it out beside you, so teams don't key in on you in the playoffs like they did last year.
Yeah, it's pretty true. Plus, here's the thing. This is his first playoff series ever. You can expect him, with the work that he put in this offseason, how much better he got going into this year. If you're the training staff and you have, as an assistant coach, Randall's most trusted advisor and one of his coaches from his Kentucky years with the team, you would kind of hope that they would have trust in the guy and expect him to just keep getting better. But I don't know if a max contract is fucking worth it if you're shooting like under 30% in the playoffs.
The bar is just set pretty low for giving guys max deals, you know? Like, if you're all NBA and you qualify for it, you're going to get it. Which he will. Because he will be all NBA.
He's going to be all NBA, which makes it really, really tough. And yeah, guys, they just fucking shell out max contracts these days to pretty much anybody. So, I mean, Rudy Gobert scores under 15 points a game and got a max contract.
Yeah, it's different. Perennial All-Star, about to be a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. But
still,
yeah.
Has he ever gotten it done in the playoffs?
No.
Exactly.
Boston threw Kemba a max deal, just because he came off a career year, almost exactly what Julius Randle did, but without a playoff appearance.
And that's the fucking scary thing about the Julius Randle situation. Because you give him a max contract, what if he's just fucking Kemba Walker? What if he's just flaming? I mean, he's not as old as Kemba. He's also not fucking tiny like Kemba. He's not fucking Joe like Kemba.
Damn, tell me how you really feel.
I mean, Kemba, he's not even 6 foot, dude. Kemba can't even fucking get on my level. I'll post him up. I'll fucking throw some moves into him. I'll throw him a fucking forearm shiver and hit him with a hook. But Julius Randle, I still, as a Knicks fan, seeing what he did this season, I still have faith in him. Him and RJ Barrett, it was their first playoff series. I think you can really only go up from here. I mean, you would hope you could only fucking go up from here with what they did in this series.
Those young teams are supposed to take their lumps in the playoffs, their first appearance. But on the other side of the ball, the Hawks didn't take their lumps. They went on and advanced. And
exactly.
For as good as the Knicks looked, I think the Hawks were equally as impressive as the Knicks were disappointing.
Yeah, it's just the Hawks definitely they have way more talent than the Knicks do on the team.
And so many guys that can make shots.
So many guys that can score all the time. And they have shooters fucking everywhere. They have like 5 or 6 guys on the team that could just hit like 3 threes in a row at any moment.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what tore the game open against the Knicks, because they just are pretty much every game. Because the Knicks just didn't have nearly the offensive talent that the Hawks did. And the defense, yeah, I think they caught a lot of teams off guard in the regular season with the defense because they just tried hard every game. And that's one of the things that fans complain about for the NBA regular season in general, is that a lot of teams just typically aren't trying. They're not competing hard on defense. And the Knicks competed really hard every single game, and you can catch a lot of teams off guard that way and get a good record.
It's that Tom Thibodeau play style, that mentality that he brings. And speaking of Thibs, there's one thing I want to mention.
Lumpy motherfucker.
Yeah, dude, seeing him on the sideline, I've come to the conclusion that he's got to be the worst looking head coach in the NBA.
Yeah, you definitely have zero debate here. I watched him all season long, and every single time he came on screen, if there was anybody in the room with me, or if there was nobody in the room with me, I would text somebody immediately and say, I think Tom Thibodeau has the worst fucking hair that I've ever seen on the planet.
What's he doing with his hair, dude?
It's just a fucking... There's an island in the front, and then it balds completely, and then the hair comes back, and it's just receding and just falling down in the back a little bit, and it's... he has just the small patch on the front that he does a little comb over with, which is... I don't know. Is he married? 'Cause
it's failing bankrupt business in the front, and then a party you definitely don't want to be at in the back.
Yeah, that's pretty much the best way to sum it up. I don't know if he is married. I don't think he's married. I think I heard that on the podcast, because if he was, his wife definitely wouldn't fucking let him leave the house like that and be seen on national TV with hair like that.
Yeah, she sees him wearing a super tight quarter zip that doesn't flatter his lumpy figure at all, and is like, "Oh, honey, you should really go with a 3-piece suit instead."
She's like, God, I'm fucking dripping. That fucking 3-inch long comb over on the front of your head is just doing it for me.
All right, but on the other side of the coin, who do you think the handsomest head coach in the NBA is?
I think, after going through a little bit of research here, came to the conclusion Steven Silas is looking pretty sexy.
Dude,
and it's pretty obvious. If you pull up some pictures of him, there's some fucking slammers on there. There's some great Tinder pics for fucking Steven Silas to throw up.
I agree. He's got that sly smile, you know? He's got these, like, real friendly eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
I like Steven Silas.
I mean, you trust him right away. He might be a fuckboy, but you do trust him.
But the only thing I can't get out of my head is... I remember his father used to coach the Charlotte Bobcats back when they were the Charlotte Bobcats, and Paul Silas was a pretty crusty old man. So just seeing what Steven can possibly age into is a little troubling. But on the other hand, a coach that I really stood out to me was Nate Borgen. Is that how you say it?
Nate Bjorkgren.
Bjorkgren.
Yeah, I mean, culture over here.
Yeah,
culture.
yeah. I mean, you look Scandinavian, so you can probably say that.
Hey, man. I also found out some different things about my lineage recently, too, so...
Oh, really?
I got ties all over the place. I'm very cultured these days.
Damn. Yeah, but Natey B, as I'm going to call him, I think he's drawn a strong resemblance to Johnny Sins with that bald head and slender face.
Yeah, slender face. We don't know where else he's slender. We don't. The only thing we haven't seen is Nady B's cock, and so we don't know if he's a full body double of Johnny Sins, but at least in the face region, he's fucking killing it.
Hey man, those baldies, they're usually packing.
That fucking hot Mr. Clean look, dude.
Dude, he does. He's got like gray eyebrows too. It's kind of perfect.
He's just got Halloween costumes galore. He's at least set for the next 2 years. Or, I mean, just any porn video that Johnny Sins has appeared in with just any sort of acting or costume or whatever. He could just go as that every year.
Oh, yeah. A Johnny Sins cosplay is definitely on the table for Nate.
It's absolutely too easy.
All right. I'm gonna bring us back to a little bit of basketball, I guess.
I guess.
So, let's talk about the series that everybody's talking about, the one that's garnered the most national attention, and that's the Lakers Suns series.
Really, it's not Wizards Sixers.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, at the time of recording, the Sixers just locked up the series win 4-1. Nice little gentleman's sweep, even with Embiid sitting this game. We're not sure when the next time we're going to see Joel is. I mean, a meniscus tear, sounds pretty bad, even if it's a small one.
Yeah, tearing anything is just generally not a good gun. Tearing anything on your body is pretty rough.
Yeah, and knee injuries, fucking scary, especially considering Embiid's history.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 23 years old, 6'2", do not play professional basketball, and I wear a knee brace every single day to work. And so I can attest to how bad fucking knee injuries can be. And I weigh like 165 pounds, basically. Embiid is probably nearly double that, and like 7'3". So the amount of fucking pounding that's going on his knees all the time, with a tear, anything going on like that, that's just fucking horrible.
I've always said that Zach Lane is the Joel Embiid of brewing beer.
Actually, everybody that works with me has been saying that lately. It's kind of crazy.
It's pretty flattering.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. I don't really understand the comparison, but I'll fucking take it.
So the Suns took a 3-2 lead in the series last night. Devin Booker had a great game. He really stepped up to the plate. He was that playoff scorer, that closer that we've really been looking for him to be.
Yeah, it's what he did in the bubble last year when he
That's
was
right.
when the Suns went 8-0 and he was fucking closing out every game like crazy. When he was hitting fadeaways on fucking Paul George and Kawhi in the Clippers game, like, we knew Devin Booker was capable of this. This is his first playoff series. We just need to see it happen.
Right, and he really put this one away in the first quarter. The Suns got a 30-point lead before you even knew it. I think Booker had something like 17 points in the first quarter and finished with 30.
Wow, bad rest of the game, huh?
Yeah, I guess. Just coasted to the finish line.
Honestly.
The Lakers without AD just isn't very – they just aren't scary, It's like you can really key in on LeBron and wait for him to drive and kick like he wants to do. Close out on some subpar shooter like Kuzma or Matthews or KCP. By the way, KCP and Schroeder combined for 0 points last night. Fucking ugly game from LeBron's supporting cast.
The Lakers without AD is like the commercial with Jason Momoa where he just pulls off like his muscles and he's just got the really skinny arms and then he pulls off the hair and he's just like balding and everything. It's just like, all right, you think of it, they're the Lakers, like, oh, they're great, they're LeBron AD or whatever, like, they look good, they sound good when you talk about them, but if they don't have AD actually out there, or if he is out there and he's hobbled, if he's not 100%, that's fucking devastating, and that could be a death sentence against the Suns team because they are really, really good.
Right, and AD obviously isn't playing. He's not 100%. LeBron I don't think he's 100%. He looks off to me. He goes in these short stretches where he really takes over, but I haven't seen him do it for longer than a quarter, where he goes like full playoff LeBron mode that we've come to expect from him. He's so committed to doing these driving kicks to shooters, getting the whole team involved, point LeBron. But we really need Cavs LeBron that would just take it to the rack at will against like those great Warrior teams and whatever schmucks they steamrolled in the Eastern Conference.
I'll be honest. All I think it is that LeBron is 36 years old.
Right, he didn't have an off season. He went straight from last year's finals into this regular season.
Yeah, they had like a month, maybe a month and a half off, and he's 36 years old. In terms of NBA age, that might as well be like fucking 60. And
a lot of miles.
He's still, yeah, it's a lot of miles on his body. I mean, he went to, before the year that he missed the playoffs with the Lakers, he went to 10 straight finals, 9 straight finals. Just a pretty ridiculous number. So that's full regular seasons. That's the full playoffs when you're going to the finals. That's just so many games that you're playing and so many minutes that LeBron's playing because he's the centerpiece of every single one of his teams. It's just tough for him to actually put in that amount of effort and that amount of work every single game. And I don't think he's really hobbled by anything right now. It just seems like he's kind of saving it for when they need it most. And unfortunately,
that was last night.
Yeah, they already need it most. And I get, okay, the Suns win, they're up 3-2. It's not a death sentence. And that's what makes it so fucking tricky because the Suns are up 3-2. It seems really juicy. It seems like the right idea to pick the Suns to win the series, but it's so fucking tough to pick against LeBron, even if Anthony Davis is out.
Yeah, I wouldn't put my money anywhere near these or Game 6 or Game 7 if it happens.
I mean, we shouldn't have put our money fucking anywhere since we bet it on the Knicks, so.
Oh, dude, we should have just fucking thrown it straight into the dumpster.
I should have just bought a disc golf set like I was planning on, dude.
Thanks, Knicks. Now I can't play disc golf.
Yeah, now I just gotta ride my bike by the fucking course and cry every time. That's not even a joke, dude. I rode my bike down and I watched some the other day. I was stoked. I looked up a set on Amazon. It cost $33. I bet 25 on the Knicks. At this point, I don't know if I should fucking do it, dude.
You're gonna have to get a fucking $8 little plastic frisbee from Walmart or something.
I'm gonna have to get one of those dog toy frisbees and just go out looking like a mega cuck chucking it out there.
Yeah, because dudes who play disc golf don't look like mega cucks.
Hey, you better fucking eat your words, dude. Because I'm about to get into the game.
All right. Let's move on to my favorite series. That's the Mavs Clippers series.
Yeah, let's fucking go, dude.
Yeah, dude. So, Luka, not 100%. He's got like a pinched nerve or something in his neck, shoulder area. It obviously was killing him towards the end of Game 3 and well into Game 4. He claims to be feeling better. Not sure if that's a mind over matter thing. But I don't think pinched nerves work like that.
I don't know. The thing is, if Luka's any sort of hobbled in this series, the Mavs are pretty much fucked because, like we said about LeBron, in the past playoffs and the past finals, everything runs through Luka at every single second.
Right.
And, I mean, it's not... I guess the LeBron comparison isn't the right one. It's a lot like James Harden on the Rockets, where every single thing ran through him, and when James Harden started to tire out and flame out in the playoffs a little bit, then the team would just completely falter. And I think that's the same thing with Luka, because when you have a team that just revolves so hardcore around one player, and that player can't keep up, like, what are the other guys supposed to do? They've been going through the entire season just playing off of this guy, and now they have to just all of a sudden start making decisions for themselves and start, like, trying to carry the team themselves. And I get Porzingis wants to fucking do it, but Porzingis shooting, like, post-up fadeaways from fucking 22 feet with like foot on the 3-point line is such a bad shot.
Yeah,
and
he's best served as a a max contract floor spacer, which is pretty sad.
Yeah, and well, it's unfortunate because I think Porzingis has gotten a lot of fucking hate this season, and I don't think all of it's deserving because he was hurt. He got hurt last year in the playoffs and came back this year, and I mean, last year's playoffs were so close to the start of the regular season this year that when he came back this year, he's probably rushed a little bit. He also got hurt at a different point again this year, so he was out some more games, and he's just been in and out of the lineup. And I think as a young player like that, trying to find your footing when you think you're going to be a young superstar, and then you're on a team with Luka Doncic, who is the real young superstar on the team, it'll probably play mental games with you, and when your body's not right too, you're probably trying to force things, and I think it's just been a really weird up and down season for Porzingis, and I think a lot of people, like on a lot of analysts and a lot of media members, it seems like have completely given up on Porzingis and say like he has no trade value in the league, and like I wouldn't trade Evan Fournier and fucking Grant Williams for him. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I think Porzingis is still a really good player. I think it was just a tough season for him coming off of the injury, and I think he'll still round back into form.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even his offense that I really hate. It's just he gets completely burnt on defense. Like he can't guard anybody. Like he gets a bad switch onto Kawhi, Paul George, or even fucking Reggie Jackson. He gets absolutely cooked. He just gets lost.
Yeah.
Like he might get played off the floor this series. They opted to go with fucking Willie Calkins-Stalkins.
Willie Calkins-Stalkins.
Yeah, dude.
Shout out the boy.
Yeah.
Dusted off the fucking shelf, bro.
Yeah, shout out Cauley Stein. He's been out there picking up some minutes, which is not what you want in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, that's his real name. tell my dad that.
But switching to the other team there, the Clippers, they really made a 180 in the first half of Game 3. They fell down 30-11 or something like that, and then Kawhi and Paul George just kind of said, all right, guys, let's flip that switch. And they did.
Yeah, I think Kawhi didn't take a single shot attempt until like 6 or 7 minutes into the first quarter of that game.
Then he finished with 36 points and shot fucking 13 of 17. Just a crazy efficient, high-scoring game.
Unbelievable numbers. And I don't know, you would think when you're down 30-11, it's like, all right, it's time to start fucking picking it up, Kawhi. But this is the Clippers are just a weird team. They lost last year. We know the 3-1 comeback by Denver. They lost the Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like this team just cannot fucking get self-motivated. It seems like they really, really have to get pushed. And going down 0-2 on their home floor, Game 3 in Dallas, down 30-11, I guess maybe that was just the breaking point of like, oh, hey, maybe we should stop fucking around now and we should actually like try hard and play real basketball. And maybe that was what did it for him. And I think it probably was. I think that was the wake-up call that they needed to actually turn it on for the rest of the playoffs and actually, like, Paul George and Kawhi, get into your grooves, take your shots, stand up for yourselves, like, be real fucking tough basketball players. Don't just be pushovers out here. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to take care of the Mavericks in the series. I picked them in 6 on the last podcast. I think it's fucking looking good right now. I think they're going to win it in 6. And I feel like the Clippers have a real good chance to come out of the West, actually.
Right. I mean, if they keep playing like this, and like you said, this is you mentioned this was the wake-up call that they need to get motivation through the rest of the playoffs. I'm not sure if this will be short-lived or not, because I can really see them getting comfortable here, you know? They're like, all right, whew, we evened up the series, now we're going back home for Game 5. Luka's not looking great, and his role players around him stink. I can see them getting lulled into a false sense of security and then dropping this one, and then who knows what happens with the rest of the series going back to Game 6 in Dallas.
Well, I think that's what happened at the beginning of the playoffs because, as we all know, they tanked to get the Mavericks matchup anyway.
It's a bad omen.
And I think that's a fucking soft move right there. And I don't know if the basketball gods would reward that and give you a championship, but the fact that they tanked to get the Mavericks matchup means they weren't really taking the Mavericks seriously from the get-go. So it's not that surprising that they came out in the first game and got smacked up. Second game, Kawhi actually balled out and put up.
Did. What do you have, 42?
He put up 41 or 42 or something like that, but the rest of the team just didn't keep up with him. And I think being down 0-2, getting down to that hole early, they realized, okay, we can't really play around with this team, and if this is our first round series and we can't mess around, then we probably can't mess around for the rest of the playoffs. So I think from here on out, they're going to be good. I think the next we're looking at, they're in the same bracket as Utah and Memphis. That series is looking like it's going to be over. It looks like it's going to be Utah that they're playing, and I think they would have a really, really good chance against Utah.
Yeah, that'll be a very hard-fought series. Very mucky, very gritty, you know? With the Mavs and Clippers, I just kind of, if you looking at it rationally, Luka and Kawhi, they average 33 points per game these playoffs. They kind of offset each other in that regard. So it really comes down to Paul George versus the Mavericks role players.
Tim Hardaway Jr.?
You look at it that way, and it seems like it's going to be Clippers in a landslide. But that's why they play the games.
Yeah, exactly. Because you never know who's going to step up at any given night. And the Mavericks do have really good role players. They have guys that'll hit shots. They have guys that kind of aren't really afraid of the moment. Like Tim Hardaway Jr. especially.
He's not afraid of anything. Put the boogeyman in his face and he'll take the shot.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's like Kyle Kuzma, dude. Put Jesus in his face, he'll take the shot. I guess he's not afraid. I guess he's not afraid of going to hell, dude. Like,
wow.
What a fucking baller.
Would you rather be in hell or LeBron's doghouse?
Definitely hell, dude. LeBron doesn't scare me for a second. LeBron's going to lose in the first round, dude. That guy doesn't scare me.
All right, so next series is the Trailblazers, the Nuggets. We just got probably the most exciting game of these playoffs so far last night. Game 5 in Denver. And Damian Lillard went unconscious. It was Dame time last night, and they still lost. Dame had 55, 10, and 6. He shot 12 of 17 from 3. 12 three-pointers. That's the record for most threes in a playoff game. He hit a step back with 3 seconds left in the fourth quarter to send it in overtime, and then another step back three with 4 seconds left in the first overtime to send it into a second overtime. And the rest of the team just took a fat dump in the bed.
Yeah, the rest of the team fucking stinking it up, dude. Your best player scores 55 on 55. He scored 55. He had 10 assists and 1 turnover.
Wow, I didn't even see 1 turnover. That's fucking nuts.
1 fucking turnover. So he's trusting a double-double with 55 points, trusting his teammates and them not getting it done. Like, maybe he should have just kept chucking and gone for fucking 70.
He shot a bananas good percentage. Like, he could have afforded a few bad looks in there and still had a great game.
Dude, let me read you Damian Lillard's stats in this series right now, and the fact that they're down the fact that they're down 3-2 right now just seems fucking criminal. Lillard's averaging 35 points, 9 assists, shooting 47.4% from the field, and 47.8% from 3 on over 13 3-point attempts per game.
Dude, the rim is just looking huge for him.
Nearly 93% from the free throw line. So he's nearly 50-50-90 shooting splits, averaging 35 a game, and they're down in the series. That has to be... How many fucking holes are in Damian Lillard's walls right now when he gets back to his house after the games?
And this is the guy that insists on spending his career with one team and not joining up with other superstars. And the Blazers aren't really giving them much help over there in Portland.
Oh, but I do fucking love that, I have to say.
I know, it's a great mentality. It's a breath of fresh air.
It's pretty awesome. I like to see that too, and I know on Bill Simmons' podcast, he talks a lot about how he thinks Steph is going to be the last guy of that kind of generation where you kind of stick with the whole one team throughout your entire career. And I don't think so, because I think Dame is going to be that kind of guy too. And on the other side of this series, I think Jokic is going to be that guy too, because Jokic is a guy that doesn't care about being an NBA celebrity. I think he just cares about going out and playing basketball and just kicking ass out there. And I don't think he cares that, like, he lives in Denver and that it's a small market franchise or anything like that. I think he's just, like, I think there are still loyal guys out there, and I think Jokic and maybe even Jamal Murray could be a guy like that for Denver. I think Dame is definitely going to be a guy like that for Portland, too.
I also think Jokic's play style lends itself well to staying in one place, because it doesn't really matter who you put around him. He will elevate them to a higher level. He will make the guys around him better.
Which he has done all series long without, the second and fourth best players on the team, and Jamal Murray and Will Barton.
He took Austin Rivers off the fucking street and made him into he swung a series. He won them a game this series.
Dude, Austin Rivers eating at fucking Benihana and then comes in fucking chucking threes in a playoff game and actually getting it done. It's pretty insane, and that's pretty much all just due to Jokic's greatness.
Right. I think we can't sell Austin Rivers short. He has got the right mindset to come in and be like, yeah, no one believed in me. I'll show them. I'm going to cook my matchup. I'm going to outplay the guy across from me. And I think that's so big in the playoffs when so much of it is your mentality and how you approach it and how hard you work and how much confidence you have in yourself. You know?
Here's the one thing I got to say about Austin Rivers. He was waived by the Knicks earlier this year.
Ow.
That's all you have to know about Austin Rivers. And the fact that he's playing a fucking big role for the Nuggets in the playoffs that's just pure insanity based on that fact.
Mm-hmm. And we're seeing this with Cam Payne too over on the Suns. Like, he came in, the Chicago Bulls gave up on him. There was this quote from someone in the front office. They said, after 2 practices, we could tell that this guy doesn't belong in the league. And now he's stepping up for an injured Chris Paul and really helping the Suns beat the presumable favorites in the Western Conference, the Lakers.
I don't know. Maybe the Bulls shouldn't be quick to fucking make judgments on players when they're not even in the fucking playoffs right now. And I'm pretty hyped for Cam Payne because I've always been a fan of him. I was a big fan of him when he was on the Thunder, and him and Westbrook were hitting those crazy bro-down handshakes before the games
so
together.
Cool.
It was so awesome. And the fact that his name is Cam Payne is just pretty awesome.
I'd campaign for Cam Payne.
Yeah, right? Yeah, he's just got like a good slogan right there just built into his name. But if we're going back to the Nuggets-Blazers series, we know what Lillard's been doing, just absolutely cooking. Jokic has been pretty much equally as brilliant as Dame. He's averaging 32 and 11 for the series. He's .007 percentage points on his free throws off of 50, 40, 90 as a center, as the guy that the opposing team is focusing on pretty much every second of the game. And he's still doing it. He's only playing 35 minutes a game compared to Dame's 41, which is pretty insane.
Yeah, he leads all players in the playoffs with that 41. I'm sure that double overtime game definitely helped.
Yeah, but even Jokic, after the double overtime game, only averaging 35 minutes a game, which is strange because everything in Denver runs through him. And so the fact that he's not even playing 36 minutes, and they're up 3-2 in the series right now, I mean, it definitely bodes well for them going forward. Mm-hmm. And he's he's just doing shit that you would expect the MVP of the league to do. And this is nothing new for Jokic in the playoffs. The guy, when it comes to active players in playoff performances, for points per game average for active players in the playoffs, Jokic is 6th on the list. And
Damn.
directly behind him is Damian Lillard.
And he ain't even a scorer.
Yep, Jokic 25.74 points per game, Dame 25.68 points per game. So we have two of the premier playoff performers in the league right now going against each other in a first round series.
Gotta love it.
So the fact that it's 3-2 is not surprising. It's so fucking exciting, and I would say this one's definitely going down to Game 7.
Oh, I hope so. We deserve it as fans.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the final series in the Western Conference. This one probably doesn't need to be talked about a lot. It is a 1-8 matchup after all, and that's Jazz Grizzlies. Aside from Ja and Dillon Brooks, no real bright spots on the Grizzlies. Ever since they stole Game 1 when Donovan Mitchell sat out, the Jazz have just looked like they're in complete control again, as we would expect from the 1 seed. Do you have any thoughts on this series in particular? Because I really got nothing.
The only thing I have is that Ja Morant is definitely a fucking superstar in the making. He'll be one of the best. He'll be one of the best point guards in the league within the next 2 to 3 years, and he'll be bringing the Grizzlies to perennial playoff appearances. And he's just fucking phenomenal, man. He put up 47 in Game 2. And he doesn't even have a reliable jump shot. He's just basically all raw energy and talent out there. Just going, hitting floaters, taking layups, fucking dunking on people. And, yeah, I mean, Ja Morant's fantastic. Dillon Brooks is having a good series. I think, once again, Valanciunas is still pretty slept on. He's averaging a double-double in the series.
Yeah, just drew a tough matchup with Rudy Gobert, you know?
Yeah, it sucks when you're a center and you have to play the defensive player of the year who's also a center.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. And that Jazz team, man, if Donovan Mitchell's not giving it to you, Mike Conley will. He's been fantastic this series. Jordan Clarkson and Joe Ingles, they can create. Bogdanovich is a bucket. You know, they just come at you with all these different scorers surrounding this generational defensive talent.
Yeah.
And they're going to be a tough out.
Valanciunas going against Rudy Gobert is like when you're playing one of the Pokemon games when you're a kid and you pick your starter Pokemon, it's a water type, and then your rival has to pick a grass type. And then you just go up against him and everything's fucking super effective against you. Valanciunas is just at a fucking disadvantage every single second out there. And it's pretty unfortunate because he's a guy that was just getting it done consistently in the regular season, and it was a fantastic season for him, and kind of like a breakout, like coming onto the scene Valanciunas performance. It's just a tough beat when you got to go up against Gobert as a really offensive based center.
Right. Speaking of Valanciunas, remember how last week I said he looked like Travis Kelce?
Absolutely.
Well, I was watching the Lakers the other night, and I saw this guy Markieff Morris, and I don't know what it was, but he had a striking resemblance to this other forward on the Clippers, Marcus Morris. Yeah, I'm not sure if they're like related or anything, but they look exactly the same.
this
What?
This is the bit.
Yeah, this is the bit.
This is the bit. Talking about how the twin brothers look exactly alike.
I can't believe no one's talked about this.
Oh my god. I don't know if... I think everybody's talked about it.
What do you mean?
I know there were always the jokes that, like, I forget which Morris brother it was, but it was like whatever, like, games that they were in or series that they were in or whatever. That
it was Wizards Celtics.
Like, yeah, it was like, Markieff wants to take a night off. Like, we'll just sub in Marcus Morris for him or whatever, and people were like analyzing the differences between their tattoos and seeing like
They have the same exact tattoos. That's the coolest fucking part, dude.
dude, it's fucking insane. So they actually could. They're just the spitting image of each other.
It's fucking bonkers. But I still feel like Valanciunas and Kelsey look more alike than the Morris twins.
I just love that was the bit that really fucking caught me off guard.
I had a hard time mentioning it without like breaking.
Oh, you did a good job.
All right, so on that note, we're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, we're gonna shift over to the Eastern Conference.
Hey everybody, Zach here. Just want to shout out a good bud in my life, a guy that created the logo for our podcast. His name's Corey Susi. He's kind of a fucking degenerate. He eats cigarettes sometimes, but in general, he's a pretty great cone. He's a fantastic artist. He's a hilarious guy. And I gotta say, I love him. You can find him on Instagram and his main page, Corey Susi. That's CoreySusi, like sus with an I at the end. Fitting. And you can also follow his art page at designs_by_Suze. Suze spelled Sooz. So, shout out Corey. I don't know if you're listening or not. If not, you're a dick. But if you are, I love you, bud. Thanks a lot.
Hey everybody, Sean here. Thanks for listening. I just wanted to give a shout out to my awesome, terrific, super talented girlfriend, Megan. She's a super talented artist. Her Instagram is at MCASArt_. That's MCASART_. She makes awesome sculptures. She has this great collection of woven sculptures. She also paints, takes awesome photos, does great graphic design work. She's truly a jack of all trades. So give her a follow and check out some of her work. Now, thanks. Back to the show.
All right, everybody. We're back at it, ready to talk about these Eastern Conference matchups. And at this point, it's second round matchups because all of the Eastern Conference first round series are now officially over. We've got Brooklyn beat the Celtics. The Bucks, gentleman sweep. The Bucks with a real legitimate sweep over the Heat, which I know somebody on this podcast called it. Trying to recall who it was that said the Bucks would sweep the Heat.
Well, to narrow it down, it definitely wasn't me. I was big on the Heat going into this one.
All right, it was the handsome dude with blonde hair who fucking nailed it, dude.
Man.
Bucks swept the Heat. Easy fucking 4 games. The first game was a little bit sweaty, but after that, it was just an absolute blowout fest.
Yeah, where was playoff Jimmy Butler? I thought that guy was like a person. Like, what the fuck?
It was Midi Butler, dude. He was fucking getting nothing done this year. And Bam Adebayo didn't show up the same way as last year either.
Nope.
It seems like pretty much nobody did. Maybe Jay Crowder was the key to them last year.
Seems like it, because that's really the only, if this was a spot the difference, the only thing missing was a big dreadhead guy. They replaced him with Trevor Ariza and figured that would work out fine, and it definitely didn't. They were relying on Ariza for huge minutes. He played like 36 minutes in Game 3 or something ridiculous. Just something that you don't rely on him to do anymore.
And not just Trevor Ariza, the reanimated corpse of Trevor Ariza.
Yeah.
Because he's
I'm like, oh, Trevor Ariza.
45 years old.
It's the same guy who was on those fucking 2010 Lakers teams that won championships.
Yeah, and now it's 2021. He's playing 36 minutes a game for a fucking playoff team.
Ridiculous. I think the statistic that stood out most to me and should stand out most to most people is that Bryn Forbes outscored Jimmy Butler in this series.
Oof. That's a fucking big stinky L right there for Jimmy.
That is embarrassing.
I would say 99% of NBA fans don't even know who the fuck Bryn Forbes is.
Yeah, I mean, what the fuck is that first name, first of all?
Bryn.
Bryn? Are you kidding me, dude?
Wait a minute. They won with Bryn? Are you talking about Yankee? Without any Bryn?
No Bryn.
Well, they actually had a lot of Bryn in this series.
Yeah, dude. Fucking Butler got outscored by a fucking business magazine.
Yeah, that's really, really fucking sad right there. But pretty hype for Bryn Forbes.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot from him. DiVincenzo goes down. They're not going to have him for the rest of the playoffs. They need another guard to step up, and it looks like Forbes can be that guy for stretches at least.
Yeah, the only problem is when it comes to the second round matchup, he's going to get fucking picked on defensively insanely hard.
Yeah.
Because if we want to point out that second round matchup, it's Bucks versus Nets, which is one of the most highly anticipated series, matchups, just probably 7 games of the playoffs.
Yeah. Finals levels of talent.
It's pretty incredible. It's maybe is it the only 2 teams with like legitimate big threes?
Yeah. I mean,
you don't really call Conley, Donovan, and Gobert a big 3.
If Embiid ends up getting healthy, I would call Embiid, Tobias, and Simmons a big 3. I don't think PG, Kawhi, and Markieff Morris's twin brother count.
No, playoff Rondo, though, maybe.
Oh, true. Playoff Rondo. I mean, he got lumped in with AD and LeBron last year, so I guess it's not inconceivable.
Yeah, right? Playoff Rondo, a.k.a. Jesus Christ. Just to go back to the Bucks Heat, though, for a second. Jimmy Buckets. We said he was outscored by Bryn Forbes in the series. We didn't say what Bryn Forbes scored. It was only 15 points per game. So Jimmy put up 14.5 a game on 29% shooting.
Oh my
26% from 3. And that's fucking vomit worthy. That's so crazy bad. And he played 38.5 minutes per game. So he had plenty of opportunities.
Man,
and
so
still hosed it.
We touched on it earlier when we were talking about the Lakers and how they had this quick turnaround to get into the regular season. And it looked like the Heat really suffered from that. You know, they got just as much time off as the Lakers, or just as little time off, I should say. And they came into this regular season limping. I remember they came up to a really slow start, figured it out mid-season. Jimmy Butler started putting together a really impressive regular season. He's probably going to earn All-NBA honors this year. And then they just come into the playoffs and lay a huge egg, a goose egg, if you will.
And don't forget, Goran got hurt in the finals last year, so it was definitely tough for him coming back into this season. That's a slower start for them. The craziest fucking thing to me about the Heat this year is that they were in the running for the James Harden trade. And it seems like the only thing that held up that package was not putting Tyler Hero in the deal. And if that's the fucking case, then that is looking tragically disgusting right now.
That's just terrible. I mean, they just got caught up in the moment of Tyler Hero having this impressive playoff run, and he's that shiny new toy that stops you from putting together probably would have been the most deadly big 3 in the league.
I think if Tyler Hero, if there wasn't a Jack Harlow song about Tyler Hero, then he probably would have been put in that trade. But unfortunately for the Heat, he wasn't, and he averaged 9 points a game this series, shot 31% from the field and 31% from 3.
Oh, yeah. Definitely a sophomore slump.
Oh, real fucking sad right there. And you don't want to give up on a 21-year-old like that, but after seeing what James Harden's done the entire year in Brooklyn and what he's been doing in the playoffs so far this year, In the gentleman's sweep over Boston, it's a lot better than 9 points per game, that's for sure.
Do you think the Heat should try to re-sign Oladipo?
Yes, dependent on the number. And like we were saying, there's shit teams with cap space this year, like we were saying with the Julius Randle opportunity. So if a team's throwing upwards of $20 million a year at Oladipo coming off all these injuries, I don't know if it'd be smart for Miami to re-sign him. If they could get him on a value deal, even at something like $15 million a year, I feel like that's a pretty good move. But you don't want to commit a big chunk of your cap space to Oladipo, mostly just considering his injury history. He just can't seem to stay healthy for a solid NBA season at this point.
He's a giant question mark, and even if he is healthy, you're not quite sure what you're going to get from him. He wasn't that impressive with the Rockets or the Pacers before that. You know, that's kind of why he bounced around and he was thrown into all these trades that got him moved around the league this season.
And he had one All-NBA season. And I think he's a really good player, but, I mean, one All-NBA season, if you're going to be getting paid, after all the injuries, you're going to be getting paid upwards of $20 million a year. I don't think that's worth it. I think it's better to just try and keep developing the young guys that the Heat have, because they do have a really solid young core at this point. And even though flaming out in the playoffs this year is pretty tough, they do still definitely have a bright future.
Right. All right, so next up on the slate, Celtics Nets. The Nets.
God, I fucking wish, dude, because then the Knicks would definitely be moving into the second round.
I care to agree. So it was Jason Tatum and the team formerly known as the Maine Red Claws that took the court against Brooklyn, and Tatum looked great for most of the series. I mean, he dropped 51 game to pull out the lone win, and then another 40-point game and a loss. But it was just no match for the star power that Brooklyn brings. I mean, KD, Harden, and Kyrie, they combined to average over 85 points per game this series, which is just absolutely absurd to me. Because I'm not sure how the Celtics are even getting to 85 points with that lineup they're trotting out there.
That's disgusting. And you said the combination of points from those guys. Just Durant individually as a player looks like it's fucking insane. Coming off of an Achilles injury, looks like even better than the old Durant. He averaged 32 a game in this series on 54, 50, 91 shooting splits.
Ooh, just so efficient.
Literally,
I'd love to see that.
Just fucking getting whatever he wanted at every second. And I just love seeing Kevin Durant play basketball again, because he's absolutely the best scorer that I've ever seen play basketball in my entire life. And it's fucking effortless from everywhere with him. Just pulling up for three, it's drip. Pulling up from mid-range, fadeaways in people's faces. Like, every time he shoots, you think the ball's going in. And that's such an incredible thing for an NBA player. Right. And I fucking love to see Kevin Durant back at it, man. It's amazing.
Nobody gets buckets like KD. It's crazy. Like, if you give me any player in the league down 2 with a few seconds left, I don't think I could pick anyone besides KD.
Yeah, man. It's tough. KD and fucking maybe Dollar Dame at this point, because he's just insane.
True.
Yeah. Nobody gets buckets as easy as Durant. Nobody gets as angry at people on Twitter as easily as Durant. It's just another great part of his story. Nobody's perfect.
But
there's got to be a balance somewhere.
But if the aliens invade Earth and the fate of the universe is on the line, and they have the death beam pointed at Earth, I want Iguodala.
Dude, I want Melo still. He's out here playing lockdown defense on Jokic down the stretch. Let's fucking get it.
So the question on everyone's minds now, or not everyone, but Boston fans, is what's next for the Celtics? You know, they got Tatum, Brown, and then a bunch of question marks. And what Tatum's shown us is impressive. The team has to be built around him. This season alone, he's had 4 40-point games. just to put that into perspective for all those Boston fans out there, Larry Bird had 4 40-point games his entire career.
What are you trying to say?
Trying to say that Tatum's a generational talent.
Jason Tatum better than Larry Bird?
You heard it here first.
Not from me. I was setting him up for it.
But what's really fueling all these what happens for the Celtics next talks is that they have a head coaching vacancy as of today because Brad Stevens was moved up to the president of basketball operations, and Danny Ainge is out. So, Zach, what are your thoughts on this?
I just don't know. What's the full deal with that? Is Brad Stevens just absolutely not coaching anymore? Is that what's going on?
Yep, he's no longer the head coach. He's in the front office.
So, I mean, we know Brad Stevens is a phenomenal coach. I have no idea what to expect from Brad Stevens as either, like, president of basketball operations or general manager or whatever the fuck it is.
You know, I've always thought he's a brilliant basketball mind. He's proven that. But he just doesn't... I watch him on the sidelines of these games, and he has the same, like, calm look on his face. Like, if you just showed me a picture of Brad Stevens on the sideline, I wouldn't be able to tell you if they're winning or losing the game. And I'm not sure if that's a great coaching style, you know? He doesn't fire guys up. He's not a player's coach, it seems like. So maybe that demeanor, that even-keeled demeanor is better suited for the front office where he can make these cold-hearted personnel moves, personnel decisions. And he can bring in whoever he wants, whoever he sees fit to coach the team in his place.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I've never seen Brad Stevens, like, excited or angry, like, about anything. Do you think, like, Brad Stevens, when he's having sex, is he, like, hyped up in the slightest, or is this just same straight-faced Brad Stevens just, like, thinking about out-of-timeout plays, getting his nut and just even-keeled, face blank the entire time?
He's definitely strategizing. He's like, all right, so a pinch here, a tender caress here, a few hard thrusts. Yeah, that's
like, right,
that's the play.
Already swiveled the hips that way. She's expecting that. I got to go back in the other direction now.
Got to keep the defense off guard.
God, cannot let her know the next move, dude. Yeah, I don't know. That'll be interesting to see what Brad Stevens does in the front office, but it'll be really interesting to see who the next Celtics head coach is then, because I was definitely not expecting Brad Stevens to not be the head coach of the Celtics for, like, anywhere within the next 5 years.
Right? I mean, it's definitely a strange move. I can't recall anything like this happening in recent memory.
No, I can't either. Maybe the Celtics' next head coach, Kenny Atkinson, dude. I think Kenny Atkinson should be a fucking head coach somewhere.
So
I really have a lot of faith in him.
I read that the Celtics are targeting 2 guys in the early stages of their hiring process. And
Chauncey Billups?
No, not Chauncey Billups.
Fuck, dude.
But a different bald point guard from that time period, Jason Kidd.
That's garbage.
Yeah, I don't want him. And Lloyd Pierce, who I'm not sure how to feel about.
I'm a fan. I mean, I'm not like a fan of Lloyd Pierce. I feel bad that Lloyd Pierce got canned from the Hawks job.
I thought he got a bad draw, honestly.
He got absolutely fucked, dude. The whole team is pretty much injured. Bogdanovich was injured. DeAndre Hunter was injured. I think John Collins is in the lineup at some point. They just had a lot of injuries to a lot of good players on their team. And then Bogdanovich came back basically as soon as Nate McMillan took over as head coach. And so when your second or third best player rejoins the team at the same point as that, and then you start taking off, seems a little bit coincidental and doesn't seem like it's all just the coaching change at that point. So I feel like Lloyd Pierce kind of gets a bad rap for that.
I agree. I wouldn't mind seeing him get a second chance in Boston, you know?
Yeah. I would just love to see Chauncey Billups coaching, dude.
I didn't know that he was in the in the hunt for a head coaching good job.
He was in talks for at least 1 or 2 head coaching jobs in the offseason, and then I think he ended up I think he's an assistant coach with the Clippers at this point. But Chauncey Billups is just the man. The fact that he led that Pistons team to a championship as their best player, and a Pistons team that really
Finals MVP.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking amazing. That's just like, what a leader right there. And especially to take that team with just not a lot of offensive talent to be able to win a championship, and with a lot of fucking crazy fiery personalities like they had, to be able to get all those guys under control, you know that guy's got crazy leadership capabilities and definitely is able to connect with just all kinds of different guys. So I feel like he'd be a guy that'd be a player's coach. And as a point guard, you know NBA offenses for the most part. And playing on those Pistons teams, he definitely knows defense when they're playing games that end like 87-84. I feel like I would just really love to see Chauncey Billups on the sideline somewhere. He'd definitely look a heck of a lot better than Tom Thibodeau.
That's not saying much.
Yeah, I know. But still, it'd be pretty great.
All right, so let's make some predictions. We've covered every series so far. Well, we'll take it from the top. Lakers Suns. Suns up 3-2. How do you think this one shakes out?
I think my prediction last week on the podcast was Lakers in 6. Now I want to say, God damn it, this is so tough. I really want to pick the Suns. My balls want to pick the Suns, but my heart wants to pick the Lakers in 7. And fuck it, dude. It's Balls Out Podcast. I'm going Suns in 7.
You're taking the Suns. I didn't think you were going to do it.
Yeah, baby. Let's go. Fuck LeBron.
I totally think that's a smart pick. I mean, LeBron hasn't... I think if he were to come out and show us playoff LeBron, it would have happened in Game 5, and he just didn't seem to want to take any part in that. But I can't go against LeBron. I just simply can't do it. I'm picking Lakers in 7.
It's just such a tough pick because
I'm not getting bit by him. I'm just not letting that happen.
I get Game 5 as a game you really want to win, but it's not an elimination game. So in LeBron's head, maybe he's like, fuck it, dude. I don't really have to try that hard. If it's not an elimination game, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean...
It's just such a fucking sweaty series right now. It's crazy.
It is. That one's... If we don't feel safe about picking the Suns, how do you think they feel? Do you think they feel safe with a 3-2 series lead? They can't, right?
I don't feel safe about picking either team, though, because, part of me wants to pick the Lakers, too, but if Anthony Davis is not 100%, the Lakers team is just not that good.
Right.
I mean, they're fine, but they're without Anthony Davis, who's one of the top 10 players in the league.
But we've seen...
I don't know if they're good enough.
We've seen LeBron take teams that suck against much mightier teams than the Suns.
Much mightier?
But is this the same LeBron? Is the only thing.
That's an older LeBron, and also in the Western Conference, and also not home court advantage in Game 7 if they get there.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was running through the East, it was definitely easier to run through the East.
With his woes.
Yeah, dude, he was running through the 6 fucking easily against DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. In this Suns team is really, really good. DeAndre Ayton's been playing out of his mind in the playoffs, better than he's ever looked in the regular season in any of the years of his career so far. Devin Booker looks like the man. Chris Paul, not healthy, but still looking fantastic in some of these games. I don't know. I'm sticking with it. I like the Suns here. I'm just really, really rooting for them. I'm trying to manifest something great.
Gotcha. I'm sticking with my boy. I'm not gonna doubt LeBron until he gives me a reason to.
You pulling the Shannon Sharp? You got Goat Brown? You just gotta get out the backwoods and you're good.
Oh, that'll be easy. All right, next Mavs Clippers 2-2, and the game is on right now, and I'm going to check the score. Yeah, Mavs up 56-54 at halftime.
All right, so we got a tight game going on.
I got the Mavericks in 7. I'll take the breathing room. I got Luka going into LA and looking completely healthy and great again, and taking it to Kawhi, PG, and company. What do you got?
All right, that's 2 prediction L's for you so far.
You thought?
I got the Clippers in 6. I picked them last week on the podcast. I'm sticking with them. I was definitely a little bit sweaty when they went down 0-2, but now it's tied 2-2. You got Game 7 in LA if they need it. I don't think they need it. I think they'll pull out this game, and then I think next game is just going to be a breeze. They're going to want to get the series over with once they know that Utah's done with Memphis.
So you think they'll just reel off 4 straight like that?
Easy money.
Like I said earlier, I think that they're going to get a little too comfortable. You know, they're like, all right, we brought it back 2-2, back at home, and underestimate the young man over there, Luka Doncic.
Yeah, a little sleepwalking could be expected from this Clippers team at this point, but I mean, I think the alarm bells really started ringing. I think they're ready to just take it to them and get the series done with and move on, and just try and prove themselves as the best in the West.
All right, next up, let's blaze the Nugs. Nugs up 3-2.
Yeah,
As I recall, you said Blazers in 6 after they won the first game, and I said Nuggets in 7.
I might have said Blazers in 5.
Yikes.
Yeah, to call
It was
myself
something like
out.
that.
I hold myself accountable, dude.
I kind of want to stick with my prediction just to hold true, but I also want to bring it down to Nuggets in 6.
I want to say Nuggets in 7 at this point. I'm
All right, I'll bring
flip
it.
the scripts.
All right, I'll bring it down to Nuggets in 6 then to make it different. I think.
All right.
You know, Dame just had this generational game. His will might be broken, you know, and Game 6 is it's in Portland, but I don't think that'll matter. I think the air is taken out of their sails after that double overtime loss. Dame just doesn't have much help, and unless he can pull another game like this out of his ass, they really don't stand a chance.
Dude, speaking of Blaze the Nugs, this isn't a weed talk at this point, but did you ever see, I think it was 2 years ago in the playoffs, when Ian Carmel had the Blaze the Nugs shirt going on?
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, that was the sickest thing ever. The Bart Simpson on there with like they had this like the Portland Rip City logos. I think I don't know, it was like Bart Simpson like smoking a joint or something like that and said Blaze the Nugs. So fantastic. Tried to get my hands on one of those shirts. I hit up Ian Carmel. He actually responded to me on Instagram in my DMs, which was really, really hype. Still couldn't get a shirt, unfortunately.
Fuck.
Yeah, devastating.
The one that got away.
It hurts to think about still, because that shirt is so fucking fantastic. But, yeah, if Dame goes for 55 and they still lose, it's like, what are they going to do at this point? It feels like the Nuggets, after that, are just in control of this series. Jokic, still playing out of his mind. He's at least getting a little bit of help. Michael Porter Jr. stepping up. Monte Morris stepped up last game. I think they'll be able to get it done. I think the Blazers might be able to take the next game at home, but when it goes back to Game 7 and the altitude in Denver, it's just going to be all over. The Nuggets, they come back from 3-1 against the Clippers last year. I don't think they're going to fucking lose Game 7 at home to the Blazers in the first round. They just have too much fortitude for that.
I don't think they lose this series either. It's just a matter of it's in 6 or 7.
And not in Ball Arena, bro. How are they losing Ball Arena?
Dude, we gotta buy the rights to that and make it Balls Out Arena.
Yeah, dude. Sponsorship, we gotta pay big money to sponsor that arena.
Oh yeah, keep those Venmos coming and we'll buy it in no time.
That's right. Hook it up, everybody.
Alright, so The only other series going on is Jazz Grizzlies, and the Jazz are currently up 30 with a 3-1 lead in the series. So I think it's safe to say that one's over.
And looks like another dub for your boy right there. I called the gentleman's sweep after the Grizzlies won the first game. Do you recall what you said about that series?
Oh, yeah, I didn't have that right. I had the Grizzlies winning the series.
Yeah,
I took a very bold... I forgot how many games, but I took a very, 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 very bold stance on that one.
Yeah, you were throwing big sack on that one. Unfortunately.
Yeah, my Gobert slander might have been a little unhinged and gotten out of hand.
Yeah. John Moran isn't dunking all over Rudy Gobert in the playoffs, that's for sure.
But he will fucking try, and I respect that.
I respect the hell out of it. I fucking love the Grizzlies. I honestly wish they would beat the Jazz, but the Jazz are tough, man.
All right, what we can do now is we can predict the Eastern Conference series right off the rip.
Off the rip.
So, Nets Bucks, who you got?
I got the Bucks. I don't know in how many games I have them right now.
Pick a sweep again.
God, it's a fucking way different opponent when you're talking about 3 guys combining for 80-something and Jimmy Butler can't even score 15 on his own. I would say... I mean, it seems like everybody's talking about this series coming down to 7 games. I guess, just be a simp and go for it, too. I'll say 7 games. No, I'll say 6 games. Yeah, fuck it. I'm not simping for the fucking Nets, dude. I got 6 games. I got the Bucks winning in 6. I just think the Bucks have 3 guys on the team that are at least decently equipped to defend the 3 best Nets players. And you can't say the same for the other side. The Nets defense is just atrocious. You can stick a center on Giannis, like DeAndre Jordan or Nicholas Claxton. What are they going to do? Giannis is going to blow right by them if they decide to back off like a million feet and just let him shoot. Well, he could just set a screen for somebody and get a little pick and roll action going and get to the basket that way. Or if KD's guarding Giannis, Giannis can just take him down inside. Try and get some quick fouls on KD. Try and tire him out defensively so that way he has to work way harder on offense. Nobody can really guard Drew Holiday on that team unless you're talking about maybe Bruce Brown. And I just think the Bucks defense, I think the Bucks with Drew Holiday this year, it's just a whole different story. Drew Holiday is just fucking, he completely got it done in that Miami series. I think he's going to be fantastic against Brooklyn. He's going to show everybody how good of a defender he is when he's guarding James Harden, Kyrie Irving. When they're setting screens for each other and he's just switching onto every guy and fucking smothering them out every single second. I think the Bucks just got this series, man. And I'm excited because I predicted this back in February that the Bucks would come out of the Eastern Conference, and I think they're going to do it. I think Giannis took his lumps last year. I think they have a better team this year, and I think they have a really legitimate chance at winning the championship.
So I don't think a defense exists, at least in this plane of existence, that can stop this Nets team. KD, Harden, and Kyrie are by far the greatest collection of offensive talents that I've ever seen and has maybe ever existed in league history. And I just don't think there's any slowing them down. You mentioned that Giannis could get KD in foul trouble. I think KD will get Giannis in foul trouble. You know? And with Giannis on the bench, that Bucks team just can't match the Nets' firepower. The Nets can bring out all these different rotations where they have all 3 stars on the court, or they have Harden out there leading the second unit, and they're still putting up insane numbers without scoring a beat. They can just get three-pointer stop, and one, and just reel off a 9-0 run like nothing. And I don't think any team in the league matches up. So I got the Nets in 7.
I'm not talking... The Bucks... I mean, nobody's going to be able to stop those guys, but they can at least make life hard for them. They have 3 guys with the size, the length, the strength to be able to keep up with them. I don't really see KD getting Giannis in foul trouble. Like, I don't know how much he's going to be taking him inside. I don't know if Giannis is going to be biting on pump fakes that much.
Well, not just KD, but Harden he's the master at drawing fouls.
I mean, it's going to be a fucking weird series from the refs' perspective because Giannis and Harden are two guys that they just fucking deep throw every second.
Oh god! And if Giannis is taking 10 seconds on the free throw line every time, we might get some long games with lots of free throws.
So 9.9, dude. He's not getting caught with violations this time.
Man, I was listening to that Miami crowd count his free throws, and they got to 12 and 13 on some of them. Granted, they were probably counting a little fast, but
yeah, they're probably counting a little fast because they're all fucking coked up down there in Miami. Just ripping through it. Although we do have to bring up, even though the Knicks are out of the playoffs, the Knicks home crowd did have the best chant so far of the entire playoffs. When in game 1, it was game 1 or game 2, I think it was game 2, they started chanting, "Trae is balding," every time Trae Young touched the ball, which is just fantastic.
Well, he really shut them up.
Yeah, he was great. But you know what? He is fucking balding. And what is he, 22, 23 years old?
Balding, but he balled out.
Fuck. He did ball out. And his Balls Out podcast, so I can't hate on him for that.
All right, real quick. The other series in the East, 76ers Hawks. So we don't know if Embiid's playing or not, or how much he will play if he does. But what's your prediction for this series?
Hawks in 6.
You got the Hawks, man? Wow, that's bold.
Yeah, dude. Well, here's the thing. If the Hawks beat the Knicks, who were really the best team in the Eastern Conference, then I guess that means the Hawks were actually the best team in the Eastern Conference, and there's no chance that the Sixers can stack up with them. And if there's no Embiid, the Sixers are way more of an average team than they are an elite team. And Trae Young, he was the best player in the Knicks-Hawks series by far. The Sixers definitely have more options to defend him than the Knicks did, but I think Trae Young's going to go off. They have so many fucking offensive weapons, and the Sixers' offense without Embiid is just pretty lacking. And so if it's just going to be a shootout, which it seems like almost every single game with the Hawks is, I think like the odds tilt in their favor. We'll see if Embiid's going to be playing or not, but I'm just going to go ahead and say Hawks in 6.
So this regular season, the 76ers played 19 games without Embiid, and they went 9 and 10 in those games.
Crossed.
And they just beat the Wizards tonight without him, so that we can make that an even 500, 10 and 10 without Embiid this season.
Beating the Wizards. Fantastic.
Hey man, you can only play who's on your schedule.
Hey, I'm impressed. That's all I'm saying.
And this is a hard one for me to pick because I do think that this 76ers team is very offensively challenged without Embiid. You know, playoff Simmons is kind of a problem. He's especially a problem without Embiid next to him. But I just think that the sheer talent and the defensive ability they can match up with anybody. Ben Simmons is suffocating. They've got other great defensive wings like Thibault and Danny Green that they can throw Trae Young's way. He just can't get a great switch. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the 76ers in 6 if they don't get Embiid. I'll take them in either a sweep or in 5 if Embiid does end up playing in any of the games.
I'm just going to go ahead and point out right now that if it comes down to it, if Embiid's not playing, the Hawks have a really fucking easy way to bog down the Sixers offense, and that's Hacka Simmons. Because through the first 4 games of the series,
so hard to watch.
Simmons was 5 for 20 from the free throw line.
Yep, when Embiid went down in Game 4, the Wizards employed the Hacka Simmons strategy, and it worked for them.
Ugh.
Stole them a game.
That's fucking disgusting, man. 5 for 20 is so gross. So, yeah.
That's terrible. He's got it.
Hack of Simmons is a real thing.
He's just got to get in the gym and hit free throws and bring it to the court
Yeah.
on game day.
He's got to stop worrying about Kardashians and start worrying about his jump shot.
All right, so those are all of our predictions for the Eastern Conference games. Let's go on to our segment that we like to call Who Went Balls Out. So each week we're going to select a player, coach, or other basketball-related person that we think went balls out in the last week. Zach, let's start with yours.
All right. My balls out player of the week is just one of my favorite players in the league. At this point, he's already one of my favorite players of all time. It's Nikola Jokic. He's just...
Jokic, baby.
Holy fuck. He's such an inspiration for just big, doofy, unathletic people everywhere to be successful in the NBA. It's so fantastic to see. And, I mean, this playoff series, it's crazy because he's only averaging 4 assists per game. But his unbelievable passing is still on display with some of the reads that he makes on the court. He gets double-teamed. He doesn't panic in the slightest. He still throws behind-the-head passes, cross-court lobs, just loft passes over defenders, lasers into the paint. And he's averaging 32 and 11 on almost 50, 40, 90 for this series. He's already, I would probably say, the best center that I've ever seen in my life play basketball.
Wow.
Like, besides...
Not Dwight Howard?
I was going to say, prime Dwight Howard is like... He was probably the best before that. And I think Jokic is better than prime Dwight Howard, and especially the way he elevates his game in the playoffs still from the regular season, and the way he makes all of his teammates better consistently. He's just... Like, he's one of the most fun players to watch ever. He's incredible. He's an incredible scorer. He's 32 points per game in the playoffs. For a guy that's known as a passer, that's fucking unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And through all this, like, he's the focal point of Denver's offense. He's the one that the defense are going at every single time. And he's averaging 2.2 turnovers per game in this series.
He don't make mistakes, man.
He doesn't make any mistakes. He makes the perfect reads. He's so creative out there. He looks like he shouldn't be playing basketball. This guy, when he was in college, was drinking a 2-liter bottle of soda every single day, and now he's going to be the fucking...
That's so fucking gross.
It's dangerous, dude. And now he's going to be the MVP of the league this year, and he's my balls out player of this week.
Nice. I'm going to stay in the same series for my balls out player. I got Dame Lillard, man. We already talked about how fucking great he was in that Game 5. He's been great this entire series. He's been absolutely carrying this Portland team. He's leading the playoffs in scoring with just under 36 points per game, which is fucking crazy.
Unbelievable.
He's playing 41 minutes a game, which we also mentioned earlier. You know, they just lean on him so heavily. They need him. Portland really needs Dame. And you could just see in those overtimes when things were getting tight and sweaty and he was the only one who could make shots. In the 2 overtimes, the Trailblazers combined for 2 points. 1 for 19 from the field from players not named Damian Lillard. Just a pure, fine example of a guy getting no help.
Yeah, that's... God, that's so fucking gross to hear his teammates in those overtimes.
1 for 19.
God. And you know what?
That's crazy.
That's my guy Melo out there too. Come on, Melo. You gotta be ashamed. You gotta be ashamed of yourself. You fucking glazed donut face ass.
Yeah, and I mean, late in that game, after Nurkic and Covington fouled out, Melo was tasked with guarding Jokic, and it was pretty funny to see.
And Melo, yeah, dude, known as a defensive stopper throughout his career. Now at, 37 years old?
God, psych.
Yeah, gross.
All right. So, wrapping up here. Next week, we're going to wrap up how this first round ended, and we're going to look forward to round 2. Some of those series will already have been started. So we're going to talk about how they've been going to that point. And that's about it. Oh, we have to do our Venmo messages.
And before that, the big announcement that we're going to be recording a podcast in person together, which is so fucking exciting.
Fuck, yeah, that's right. That's next week. That's right. I fly down to Florida this weekend. I'm going to bring my fucking shit.
Yeah,
and we're going to do a live recording, and it's going to be great.
Shawnee Jana's coming down to Clearwater, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, drop the Addy on air.
Yeah, dude. I'll drop my social security number, too. I don't give a fuck. Steal my identity, hackers.
Yeah, you guys want my travel information, by the way?
Yeah, you want Sean's credit card number? I have it.
Yeah, let's get super invasive. Let's go. Let's take our balls out.
Dude, it might have been hanging this whole time. I needed to air them out big time.
Yeah, I know it's quite swampy down there.
Yeah.
In Florida.
Yeah, just in Florida. Definitely.
All right, so the first Venmo message came from Deanne. She wanted me to shout out her beautiful wife, Emma, and just let her know how much she loves her. That's sweet.
How sweet is that? Well,
that's my only one. Did you get any?
Yes, I did. I'm pulling up my Venmo right now just so I can get the message exactly correct.
How many did you get? How much more popular than me are you?
I mean, are we just talking Venmo or are we talking in general?
I mean, I'd like to keep it strictly to Venmo. We don't have much time left. I know you could go on and on for hours.
All right. If we're talking just Venmo, then I only got one Venmo message.
Oh, thank God.
God, I'm just trying to pull it up right now.
Except for we're fucking broke.
Yeah, we're fucking struggling, dude. I'm trying to find it up, but I don't have the money to fucking pay for my phone bill, so it's really, really tough right now. Oh, here we go. All right. So I got one Venmo payment from one Reed Ward. The message was, Sean Janis, malted barley. Ask him about it. So, Sean, what do you have to say about the malted barley?
All right, so I'll tell the story, but certain parts are definitely going to be redacted.
I'd like that.
So, and I was super drunk. And then and after that, and then, yeah, so that's how that went.
Yeah, I can attest. I was there. That's exactly how that all went down.
Yeah, pretty interesting stuff, right?
Yeah. For the full versions, just text me. No, I won't. I won't expose Shawnee like that unless you Venmo me more than $2.
Wow, there's a price on me, huh? That's crazy.
Nah, there's no price on our friendship, but like $50 sounds pretty fucking good.
All right, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for your support. Remember to please subscribe on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Those of you that do, and then send me some sort of proof, you'll get a personalized message from Zach and I. Thank you. Zach, is there anything you want to say to our listeners before we sign off?
Yeah, dude, I'll write you guys a fucking poem if you do that shit. And I'm a pretty fucking good poet, dare I say it.
I know a lot of you are already subscribed on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube, or some combination of the two. And you just have to do the third one or something like that. So just take a screenshot and send it to us, and we'll make sure that you're thanked.
Just do it. It's easy. And tell your friends about us. Tell your fucking...
Please spread the word.
Tell your enemies about us. Tell
the worst person you know.
The worst person you know. Like...
Well, you should probably start with the best people.
Yeah, start with the best people, but, like, we want anybody listening, for sure. We don't approve of anything that they have to say, but we still want them listening, so tell them.
Well, we should hear them out.
Yeah, just tell everybody, but, man, everybody that's listening right now, thank you so much. We fucking appreciate it. Beyond belief.
Oh, yeah. Love you all, and talk to you next week.
In person. Deuces, baby.
Yeah, baby. Deuces.